Alrighty, so it seems we're recording. Wait, let me make sure the camera's a little bit more centered on me, actually. Ah, shoot. Damn. Okay, so that's a little bit more centered there. We're looking a little bit better there. But what's up with you guys, man? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Hopefully you guys are having an amazing day today, man. I know I'm having actually I'm feeling pretty good right now. Feeling kind of blissful. But I'm not gonna make this a long intro, man. I need to make these shorter. I need to consciously try and look more at the camera too. I feel like I don't look enough at the camera, you know? I should realize like you guys are seeing me through the camera, so I should look at the camera. Like I guess it's just because there's nobody here present. I just need to visualize this camera as like a person's like eyes, right? And I want to be looking there as often as possible. But I also kind of don't because like, it's like one of those like ring light cameras, and the light kind of, I mean, it's not too bright. Like it's very acceptable. It's at an acceptable level. Um okay, 1 minute of an intro, not making that any longer than it needs to be. Why Wanting Less is True Wealth by The Pursuit of Wonder. By the way, shouts out to my mans for hitting 2 million subs recently. Hats off to him. But I am interested in this because, well, I do know that is like, even in what is the name of that book? The Navlac. No, wait. The Navak. Oh fuck, the Almanac. No, some shit like that. It's this book that I read, right? And also in a lot of other places, they'll tell you like, look, desire is that coin, right? It's like that coin of, it has two sides, desire and pain, both sides of the same coin. If you desire something, you feel pain. So to just feel less pain, if that's really what you're concerned about, all you got to do is just desire less things, and it's a very simple like answer, right? And it's like, okay, let's find
This
out.
video is sponsored by the self-care app Fabulous.
I actually did download this, but I didn't really use it that much.
Will receive 25% off their
Damn, 25% off? But that's first 100, so that's
much in life,
not in
we
that.
can often ignore and neglect the quality of what we actually experience.
Oh, I got a nice little protein shake here. So what can we reject? Are they captions? Should I put captions on this?
We are so often drawn to lifestyles full of busy schedules, active social lives, frequent travels, and elaborate goals and achievements. We end up in lives focused on all of these things, but very little on ourselves. The busy life is promoted to us by culture, in movies, in shows, the news, best-selling books, on social media, and so on. For much of the modern world, the ideal of this life is transfused into the blood. But is this way of life even good for you? Since oftentimes people who live
constantly want
modest,
things,
quiet lives are viewed as unexceptional, unsuccessful, losers, and so on, it can perhaps be hard to see a quiet, simple life of relative obscurity as something appealing, noteworthy, intentional, and difficult. But in
is it really noteworthy in the traditional sense, as in, well, these people, if they really do live their lives like this out in the wild, and they're living these sort of nomadic lifestyles, are they really going to have a Wikipedia page made about them? Like they're just kind of there enjoying themselves. They're feeling less pain than all of us, right? Like they're just there out in the wild, connecting with nature, doing their thing. They love what they do, so they're having a great time. They have less pain and shit. But it's also like, you have to. It's not the perfect thing either, but it works for them. It's probably the best thing. It's like it's the best thing for them. Like go them, like good for them. Like I'm happy for them. But it's also like you can't expect them to have a Wikipedia made out of them. You can't expect them to have like crazy wealth. But then again, wealth is sort of subjective, and they'll tell you they have a lot of wealth, but not like money, right? And it's like maybe not a legacy. They probably won't be remembered. It just depends on what you really care about, and I guess your circumstances and your experiences and your environment sort of do have something to do with that. Like if you weren't born into an environment where being memorable and achieving something so great is obviously seen as like up here and is seen as this great thing that we should obviously, hope to achieve and we should aim for, then yeah, I can see how people would want to like live a lifestyle that's just like quiet and it's just peaceful. It's just like, look, y'all can stay over there playing that game. I mean, most of y'all are in the rat race anyway. So it's just like, have fun. Have fun. I'm gonna stay over here and I'm gonna live my lifestyle. I'm gonna be happy with the way I live, right? This is like all power to you.
Some portion of us, this sort of life is in fact a redeeming endeavor, indicative of immense discipline and wisdom. If a man does not keep pace with his companions, perhaps it is because he hears a different drummer. Let him step to the music he hears, however measured or far away. wrote 19th century American transcendentalist writer and philosopher Henry David Thoreau. Thoreau was a figure who focused much of his life and philosophy on the value of simplicity, self-reliance, authenticity, and separating from the influences and conventions of modern life. He not only wrote about these concepts, but he lived them. After avoiding
that's
the
good.
expected standard
Someone who
career
practices
paths
what they preach.
and befriending the founding father of the transcendentalist philosophy movement, Ralph Waldo Emerson, for years, Thoreau lived by himself in a cabin in the woods on a plot of Emerson's land.
Damn, that's kind of lonely though.
Here, he led a simple, quiet, secluded life, focusing only on
But it's also like, is your biology following along though? Like, yes, it's peaceful and quiet. You might have peace of mind, but it's like that's not really what you're biologically built for though. Like, we're social creatures, and we sort of like by nature seek to be in a social, like seek strong social connections, and that's if we don't have that, it fucks us up, like literally fucks up our immune system and our health if we don't have that. So it's just like, I mean, are they like bypassing that in some way? I think that's still not a very healthy way to live, to just live alone in a cabin like that.
what he believed he
opinion.
truly needed and valued. He worked only one day a week, reduced his material possessions to a minimum,
Oh, one day a
separated
week.
from the
Ooh.
social and cultural world, immersed into nature, and focused on his passion of writing.
That's good. That's
During
very
this
good.
time, he wrote his masterwork, Walden. In one passage of this book, he reflects on his time and reasons for living alone in the woods, writing, "I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life, and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived. I wanted to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life." We all want to live a good
So
life
you went
and
up
be
there to
successful,
truly live.
but how often do we stop and evaluate what a good, successful life might be for us?
But
How often do
could
we
be
consider
subjective, yeah.
not how it would look from the outside, but how it would feel from the inside, the only place it is actually experienced? Plainly, being successful merely means having adequately accomplished a predetermined goal or task. And so, arguably, being successful in life depends solely on having mindfully determined an overarching goal for how you want to live, and then living adequately that way. Thus,
Yes.
those who live a quiet, modest, simple life are just as successful as someone who lives a busy and culturally significant one. So long as in both
I'd agree.
cases, both ways of life are intentionally pursued, both are equally successful when obtained. Only in the case in
But
which
it's
someone-
also like, is one harder though? And it's like, us will value something that's harder. It's like, it's kind of easy. Well, I wouldn't say easy, because I mean, what really is easy? But it's just like, which one's easier, right? To go out and live in a cabin in the woods alone, or to become that multi-millionaire in this society that we live in? And it's like, if you're concerned with what people, it's just like, obviously one's harder, and we obviously respect people that go through leaps and bounds and they go through hell to achieve what they want. So because it's harder, we'll have more respect by nature for a type of lifestyle that's like, well, the other one. But
someone is living unintentionally and without
if you're not worried
deliberation
about it, then
is one unsuccessful.
guess it doesn't matter.
Thus, even on the highest of thrones, the remotest of destinations, and the most private of rooms, we might just as likely find examples of failure as we might in a small cabin in the woods. Of course, some of us might find ourselves in conditions and circumstances we did not choose that cannot easily be broken free from. Conditions that come with financial, mental, or health constraints and responsibilities that require ways of life that we may not prefer. And of course, many of us do prefer busy, frantic, material lives. But for the number of us for whom this is not the case, if we choose to give up our time to people and things we don't value that take us from people and things we do, where a different, accessible orientation of our life would not require this, then perhaps we have ventured the wrong direction and would benefit from some amount of simplification, or at the very least, a reasonable renovation of our lives.
Or reasonable renovation,
Inevitably,
100%.
we all must give up some portion of our time to people, things, and tasks that we do not want to. But the essential question we must ask ourselves, when we can, is how much, why, and for what. We all know that time is the only commodity that cannot be earned or bought back when it is gone. And in a fundamental sense, it is the only thing we truly have. and yet we often exchange it haphazardly for reasons we don't think much about. We would never let anyone take our money or our car or any of our stuff, but yet we often freely let people and things and experiences take our time every day, month, year, and decade.
That
And
is
here
true.
is where we might call upon Thoreau, Emerson,
That
and
is
other great
true,
thinkers
though.
alike
That
to
is
realize
true.
the value of our deliberateness and focus on our time.
That brings up a good argument though. That motherfucker on the left he did have to give up a lot of time though. But that just kind of plays into what I was saying earlier. You do pay more of a price. It's also a time price, and it's also like, well, is that really what you want to do? Like, time? Is there anything more valuable than time? And it's like you're paying with time. Like, definitely. Damn. So I don't know. It's like,
Our
I
perception
don't know.
and the internal experience of our lives, and not on things, other people's opinions, and that which we cannot control outside of ourselves. In short, Thoreau wrote, I am convinced, both by faith and experience, that to maintain oneself on this earth is not a hardship, but a pastime, if we will live simply and wisely. Perhaps we don't always need to take that new job with those greater responsibilities, accept that invitation to that concert or that party, go to that place we've seen everyone go, keep as many relationships with as many people as we can, try to keep up with everyone we know and see online, or buy that new version of that new thing. Perhaps, rather, for some of us, we would be better served by focusing on how to draw down the items on the to-do list, the events on the calendar, the people we engage with, and instead, keep a relatively concise schedule with just a few important things and a few important people. In truth, an exciting life is a life in which we are excited to be alive, not necessarily one in which we are always frantically doing things. There is nothing impressive about living a life you do not like if you do not have to. And there is great...
Well, that plays into that idea of motherfuckers confuse productivity, right? Like, it's not just doing as much as you can. Like, being productive is doing what you set out to do, right? It's just that simple, like, change of mindset, right? It's like, so what he's saying is, like, you could live in this society and you don't have to go out and live in a cabin in the woods necessarily, but it's also like kind of plays into that last video we watched where the guy says don't try, right? And it's just like, if it's not something that you really enjoy doing, then don't do it just for the sake of what else society's gonna say to you, right? Because really, this is your life that you're playing with, right? And this life can only be experienced by yourself. Therefore, it's fair to argue that you should only care about the self, and you should do what's best and most preferable for yourself, right? And it's just like, think about what yourself is giving up. You're giving up a lot of effort and time, and it's like, is that worth it? And you're doing this for what, really? Just for to please others, to play the game and society. You're doing it because society says you should, and it's just like, do you even really want to do that? You could play that. You could easily play it if that's really what you want to do. If that's really what you want to do, then go ahead. But if it's not what you want to do, go and do what you really want to do, right? It plays into that video that we watched yesterday of don't try, the philosophy of the Bukowski guy. And I 100% agree with that. You should never do something just because somebody else says to. And it's just weird that people even do. It's just like, are we not selfish? Like, that's kind of in our nature, and motherfuckers just dead ass, like, they be doing the shit that they wouldn't do normally, and they just do it because, well, their father said they should. Their family members said this. Their friends said this. And then it's just like, well, aren't you selfish? Like, go and worry about what you want. But I guess they're just confused about what they want, because one thing that they do want to do is maintain their friendships and not be seen as a fool and all of these things, because, we are working with old software. But it's just like, what are you really focusing on? Like, focus on prioritizing what makes you happy, homie. Don't try to please others first. Like, you must come first, right? Absolutely. I'm not sure if it's necessarily like about wanting less. It's more like want what you want. Sometimes that would include wanting less, because sometimes people do, and I'll tell you this for sure, they do want things, like, they do a lot of things that they really don't want to do. right? And it's like, well, be productive, and that just means do what you set out to do, and then you're a success. But you could definitely still have that be doing a lot of things and wanting to become rich and all of that. You could definitely have that be a thing.
Virtue
I
and
think.
heroism, and simply staying sane, kind,
Just
spending meaningful time.
Most importantly, I'm not gonna pause too long. Most importantly is have the gratitude. You know, like, appreciate the now, be in the present, because there's no point in working towards a future that when, like Alan Watts said, when it becomes the present and it's not the future anymore, and in that time, you know, concept, it becomes the present, you're not going to be there anymore because you'll be off away and you'll be thinking about some other future because you have no good relationship with the present time. And it's like, well, you need to have a good present. You need to have a good, you know, relationship with the present time, right? And it's just like a lot of these motherfuckers that worry too much about getting rich, they have no good like relationship with the present time. I mean, in a sense, that's me. Like, I'm not necessarily satisfied with who I am, but I have a lot of gratitude because I realize how rich I really am, even though I have like $5 in my pocket. Like, I'm healthy, I'm good, and it's just like it's all about your perspective. And I have gratitude, and I'm thankful for what I do have. Should that mean that I shouldn't want more? I don't think so. I think, you know, if I'm allowed to go out and pursue more, why not do it? Why not strive for more? And it's just like, well, don't kill yourself doing that, right? It's just like, don't, well, if you feel like it's a cause worth dying for, sure. But like don't overdo it, right? It's just like be in the present at some point, right? Because otherwise you'll never
With a few close loved ones, and maintaining authenticity in one's work and life.
I like how he's just
Of course,
in the back
none
right
of
there.
this is to make light of the difficulty of doing such a thing and living such a way. Swimming against the current of social conventions, of personal and cultural expectations of what you're currently doing is like trying to get back to the shoreline while the force of the ocean's current pulls you further and further out to sea. And moreover, the ambiguity of what we actually want and what is actually good for us is always present. The temptation of the alleviation of responsibility by just letting the current take us and living how others live, defining success and excitement how others define it, spurs in every post on social media and intimates in every encounter in which we are asked, "What do you do?" But in the words of Thoreau, rather than
And that's how they judge
than
you.
money, than fame, give me truth.
That's how they define your worth. What
To
do you
find
do?
truths and values, Thoreau looked to nature, independence, and a life of simplicity. But arguably, where we look is perhaps far less important than why we look where we do. It is in Thoreau's deliberateness that we should draw inspiration from,
I like
not
that.
necessarily his lifestyle. A successful life is not one filled with important meetings, active social lives, high wealth, or fame.
Yeah, it's
Nor
not
is it one
limited to
reduced
that.
to its most basic form, filled primarily with free time and leisure. A successful life is simply a conscious one made of authenticity, self-reliance, and continual adaptation toward who we are and how we want to live. In the end, the only shame of being unsuccessful in life is being unsuccessful in living how you want to, the best you can.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
This video was sponsored by
Fabulous. Get your
An
little
essential
plug. Yes,
Many of us
sir.
struggle
Get your
doing these
ad.
things, and science-backed principles and a range of functions.
Hey. See, I would do that if I didn't get the habit journal from Kurzgesagt. How the fuck you say their name? Can't fucking say their name for some reason. Why one thing less is true wealth. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Like what's what you really want to do? How would you feel based on what he says and his definition of success? How would you guys describe that? You know, leave it down in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. And if you made it to the end, well, you're a fucking G. Like, damn. 19 minutes, my god. I really want to know. I really want to see somebody in the comment section be like, yo, I made it all to the end. It's gonna make my fucking day. Because it's just like, like somebody's actually watching all the way through. That's crazy. But if you did, leave a like, please, I guess, if you enjoyed the video. And subscribe, right? Because I mean, I got low sub numbers right now, and it's like I'm trying to get that up. So support me. Subscribe, I guess. And yeah, I'm gonna leave a like on this video, right, to support my boy Pursuit of Wonder, of course. I love that. And yeah, I will catch you guys in the next one. Oh man, I hate when they ask me, "Do you want to stop the recording?" Like, yeah, I wish I could just press stop recording and it would stop.